All right, everyone. Here we are again, another Thursday night. I'm your host tonight, Katie Curlin, Miss West Ham, Philadelphia. And here I have with me Steve, Baz, and David. Do you guys want to go around and introduce yourselves?
Who wants to go first? Shall I go first?
Sure.
So I'm Baz. I'm from England, from a town called Northampton. Been a West Ham fan since 75. Used to be always going down Hampton Park until I came to live in this country, and they're my passion.
All right, everyone. David from Boston Hammers. Half American, half Italian. I live in Boston, United States, but my mom's Italian, so that's where I got my passion for football from. Nice to see everyone.
All right, Steve.
Hi all, I'm sure you know me. I live in South London, but I'm an Essex boy originally, and I've been a West Ham fan forever.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone, for popping in tonight. I see the chat room is finally starting to get rolling. So we have a lot on our agenda, a lot of things to talk about. So one of the topics tonight that we wanted to discuss is that we've seen other European teams void their seasons for 2019-2020. What do you think the Premier should do? I know we've talked about that a little bit more in the past, but at this point, what do you think we should do?
Well, I personally think that they should cancel the season.
And
it's just greediness. I think that with the current state of affairs, people losing jobs, obviously the virus itself, I just think is it really worth it starting the season? I just don't get it. I don't understand what the ways they're going around it. Artificial atmosphere, empty stadiums. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. The French league has suspended. The Belgian league has suspended. I believe the Dutch league has been suspended as well. It just seems like the actual details are very hard to work out. Number one, it's a physical game. They're talking about the players practicing with masks. What if they're playing with masks? How can you actually, it's a physical game. How can you actually keep the distance when you're trying to man mark someone? When you're a center back, are you going to be more tentative? The second issue is that different countries have been doing a better job containing the coronavirus. Germany has done a really good job. So I think they have enough tests to where they can actually contain it. But the UK is behind their testing per, I think it's per 10,000 people or 100,000 people. It's not been contained yet. So it kind of feels like a slap in the face to people where you're saying, our society is not back to normal, but we're going to resume football. I think it has a greedy nature to it. And then, of course, if a player actually, or even a staff member contacts COVID-19, it's just going to look very bad. It's going to look very greedy. And I agree with Steve, it doesn't have the feel of real football, so I'm against it.
what about you, Steve? What do you think?
I'm actually in favour of finishing the season. Maybe not right away, but I think this season should be finished. There's far too many obligations that need fill in. Players contracts, TV, that kind of thing.
Baz, you might have to down. We're hearing that. I think we have a little bit of a.
Yeah, I hear.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're causing an echo though, Baz.
I'm causing an echo.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, too many contracts that need obligating. There's too much money already past hands. So long as it's not rushed, so long as they take their time, and I think so long as the any change that needs to be done to a season, I think it should be done for next season.
Yeah, there's something. No. Sorry, Baz. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so finish this season and then do any changes, amendments, adjustments that you need to do next season. Even if it's a part season, half a season, anything like that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of us are still really split on the topic. I just think that we shouldn't play the rest of the season. I think it's too much of a risk right now. I think that, it would be good to give the players time to heal and, regain their strength for next season, especially for us. We need to come back stronger. So Ajeti, he's drawing interest from the turkey clubs. Do you think we should sell him at this point in time? David, what do you think?
In one word, yes. He doesn't seem to have settled. He didn't cost a lot for us to buy. So even if we got slightly less money, it wouldn't cost us a lot of money. I go ahead, sell him.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Maybe he hasn't been given a fair crack of the whip. I don't know, but he certainly what little impact he has made really hasn't set the team on fire, has it? So he's going to be no great loss if he goes.
Yeah, the great Yeti Ajeti. I'm ready to get rid of him. So I definitely think we should sell him. I definitely think we can get good money for him at this point in time. So, I'm definitely down to sell him.
What did we pay for him? I can't remember.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I remember the exact number. I remember we bought him from FC Basel in the Swiss League, but I don't remember the actual fee. I just remember it not being a large amount.
Somebody in the chat look that up and give us that stat.
Yeah, exactly.
They're too busy chatting, they're not listening.
I know. We got a bubbly bunch in there tonight.
Yeah.
Even Neil.
From down under. Hi, Neil.
8 million, it says.
Oh, right, okay.
8 million pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot in today's market. Or
No.
Sell him for 5 or 6,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one of my all-time favorite topics that I love to get heated about, I don't know about you guys, another thing that we seem to all be split on is Antonio. So should we extend his contract or look to cash him in? Steve, what do you think?
Why would we cash him in? He's a beast. He's our beast. Keep him. He can. He's not the best technically, but he's probably got one of the biggest hearts in the club, and he's like the Energizer Bunny. He'll just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, he definitely is the Energizer Bunny there.
Yeah, Steve just stole the words from my mouth. I think he's not the most technically gifted player, but he just adds an extra dimension. He can stretch the field for you without having link-up play, which is actually kind of what we needed because our midfield was so bad this year and even the previous year. Mm-hmm. I think he's only 31, so we wouldn't get that much more money for him. He's not going to go to a bigger team, a bigger squad. So yeah, I agree. I would keep him. He's good to have around. Even if he falls off, he's injured a lot, we can transition him to a squad player. I think he still would be a good impact on the other players. So I don't see a need to sell him.
Rebecca knows me too well. She says, okay, Katie's going to kill me. So I always go on my rant when it comes to Antonio. I completely agree with you guys. I think that he does bring passion and, the strength that we need up top. We definitely needed that, up top. And I think that he is quite disruptive for our midfield. I just think that it, because we didn't have those connections, kind of like you're saying, David, I just think that that's so much work for the midfield to be running up and down with Antonio, getting the ball, not tactically sound, being able to collect it and distribute it. He had many a turnover, and I think that really impacts your midfield as well. So that's just one of the reasons why I'm just not a big Antonio fan. I know a lot of people love him, but I think that we could get money for him and, you know, work on building that midfield and making that stronger at this point. So, yeah.
He's more a forward, right? He's more a forward than a midfield player.
Yes.
That's what I like about him. The midfield can kick the ball far, and they can kick it to him short, and then he'll run down the field, or they can kick it far, and he'll run down the field and gather it. So it takes the pressure off the midfield.
And he's fast and he's strong, and you know he could have 3 blokes hanging off him, and he'll still drive for the opposition goal. You know, he's a rare commodity these days. We got to keep him.
I agree. I agree that he's just a unique player. He's like, it would be hard to find a similar player. Maybe Traore from Wolves has the same strength and a little bit more speed and a little bit more. He's developed a little more technical guile, but other than that, I can't think of a similar player.
Forsheezy thinks he's the Derrick Henry of the group.
Tennessee Titans. He used to play for the Tennessee Titans, or is that another Derrick Henry?
Who's Derrick Henry?
I'm not sure.
He used to be a running back for the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if that's what he's referring to. American football.
Another thing that I really like about Antonio as well. I don't know if it comes across on TV, so I don't know if you guys see it like I do. But there are lots of times in games where he doesn't even know himself what he's going to do next. So if he doesn't know, the opposition surely isn't going to know. So yeah, he's a beast, and there are times when he's an absolute lunatic as well. So you need players like that in the team. You need mavericks. You need people who are sort of not in a certain mold.
Robert seems to think we should put Roberto up for striker. Maybe he actually would do a better job there. I don't know. Baz, what do you think? We're talking about Antonio. Do we extend his contract? Do we sell him? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think he's going to become injury prone. It seems like his hamstrings. He's always having problems with his hamstring or the groin, right?
True.
I'll probably give him next season, and then that'll be it. I think he's going to be a real injury-prone player, and plus we got Bowen for pace. Find another good prospect in the Championship for the left side, because it looks like Anderson's leaving. So then if it all works out, then I'll probably get rid of him at the end of next season. If there is a next season. We don't even know if there's going to be a next season.
Good point.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit earlier, whether or not, we wanted to extend this season, finish the season with other teams canceling. What do you think, Baz?
Well, as I say, I mean, I personally think that they should just cancel it, just call it void. And I feel sorry for Liverpool because basically they won the Premiership when they beat Leicester at Christmas. That's when they won the Premiership. Mm-hmm. So I feel sorry for Liverpool. Feel sorry for Leeds and West Brom. Not so much Leeds, but I feel sorry for Leeds and West Brom fans. But I mean, say if I was given the job to mark, let's just say Salah against Liverpool, do you get close to him? He's going to be sweating. Sweat's going to be flying. Do you get close to him, or do you give it? It's ridiculous. It's like, it must be I don't understand how the players are going to get around it. That's what's confusing. It's like they say they're going to have coronavirus checks after every game. I suppose that's one way around it, but I think they should just void it. So in the history books, it will just say void due to coronavirus.
Well, that would be something, wouldn't it?
I agree. I agree with the health perspective, but they don't have to just avoid it. The Liga and the French league just canceled the season, but did what the actual standings were. So TSU was crowned champion. They've set the Champions League and Europa League spots. The bottom two teams, I think the two of the three bottom teams are relegated, but then the third from bottom might need not, because there's a playoff where they go with the top seed from the second division side. But they've gone with the existing standings to determine what happens next year. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Who's going to refund Sky and BT for the
exactly
games?
That's the problem. That's another reason why they're willing to start up again.
But even if they started up again, are they really going to earn that much more money off the TV coverage when not everyone is watching it to the same degree? It's not as interesting. It's not the same amount of games. They're just trying to recoup.
The trouble is, though, I think a lot of money has already been paid out, or indeed, if it hasn't been paid out, the clubs have already sort of banked on a certain percentage of that and have spent it in advance. I don't know. I just think it would be an absolute litigation minefield if they cancelled it.
Yeah,
I think with the case of the French league, I forget the team's name, but one team who was supposed to go up from the second division has already started litigation.
Yeah, see.
But
I mean, there's so much big money in the Premiership now that that's what's the word? That's deciding really what the decision is, and the decision obviously is they're going to start it up. I think they will start the league up, but as for the safety issues, I don't know.
When does the NFL season start? September, isn't it?
September, yeah.
September. Yeah. That's going to be a problem.
But preseason August.
Yeah,
you got the preseason games the month
I imagine
before.
it will start. Well, I mean,
is the NFL going to start?
Well,
they haven't really said anything yet. They haven't given any indication.
Yeah.
Surely, if the NFL is going to start, then there's no reason why the Premier League can't start at the same time.
Well,
finish off this season, lose next season if we have to.
I know
there's a lot as well that's been knocked into next year, isn't there? Like the Euros and things.
Yeah. I know that the NBA is looking at going down to Disney World and having them play all there and stay at their hotels and everything. So they're all in a locked down situation to try and kind of limit exposure. And then they would play like 2 or 3 games a day just to try and get the rest of the season in. So I thought that was an interesting concept. Obviously, I don't think that can be done for Premier League in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but I just think there's just too many moving parts happening at once. Like, even with the NBA, if they decide to go to Florida, the coronavirus is, they're not doing a very good job of dealing with it there. So then they would say, like, are they safe there? Then if you're playing 2 or 3 games a day, you're going to get tired. You're going to get burned out. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to happen if you move all to a neutral location and then you're playing more than you're supposed to play, then the conditioning is just going to be different. I think we also have to wait for the dominoes to fall. Like I said, there's 3 leagues in Europe that have said the leagues are done. I think it's only going to take 1 or 2 more leagues to say it's done to then where it's going to fall. I do agree that the Premier League is unique, that it has so much TV money invested. But then I think Germany is unique in the sense that that country has done the best of dealing with the coronavirus. I think they have enough tests per people in the population to where they've basically contained it, so they can actually safely run the Bundesliga again. So they're going to be the first to roll it out. So I think all eyes are going to be on that to see how successful it's going to be. But every country is different. So what might have worked for Germany might not work for another country.
Hey, Steve, do you live in South London, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does the country as a whole feel that it's getting grip of the coronavirus, or? No. Yeah.
No, the general feeling is sort of at street level, if you like, that we're losing control of it. There's too many people not obeying what the government says,
Yeah.
But the trouble is that our government will only issue advisories and instructions and things like that, whereas like Spain and Italy and France and that, they all went
laid the
full
law
cod.
down.
Yeah. I mean, even Macron said, a few weeks ago, he came out and he said, look, we advised you to stay home and you haven't, so now I'm ordering you, and this is the law, and I'm sending the police and the troops out on the street. And I've got relatives in Spain, and they haven't been able to move for 6 weeks. They've literally not moved at all. Even to the point where the Spanish police, on your way home, are stopping, you're getting stopped, and they're checking your receipts from the supermarkets to make sure you have been where you said you were going.
My sister lives in Lanzarote.
Yeah.
And she's had to deal. Yeah, she hasn't seen the front door for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
She said. I think today they've announced that they're probably going to set the new laws of you can go for a kilometre workout, so you just do circles, and that's going to be certain times of the day. But as I say, as for a country, all I see is on Sky News. But if the country's still, I imagine unemployment's going up there, right?
No.
Unemployment.
No,
they're on furlough, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing the government have done well. We've got a great Chancellor of the Exchequer, and he's jumped in. And I'm sure we'll be paying for it for years and years to come, but he has thrown billions and billions of pounds at it. And I'm sure we'll pay for it in our taxes next year. But the problem we've got is that we have too many people that they think it's like getting one over, if you like, on the man. If they can sneak out and go to wherever they want to go, meet their friends, go to their drug dealer, wherever they're going. You know what I mean?
The drug dealer.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if you know or not, but I'm a bus driver.
I do know that, Steve. I've been following your posts.
Yeah, I'm out there every day, seeing what's going on. So I'm probably in a bit of a unique position to actually have sort of a finger on the pulse, if you like. But part of my route takes me on a big circle around a housing estate, and there's people getting on, travelling 1 or 2 stops, getting off. Where are they going? How is that essential travel?
Oh, that makes no sense. You could just walk around instead.
What grocery store are they going to? Do you know what I mean? They're just going to see their friends, going to see their drug dealers, and it's so frustrating because they might think, well, I'm all right, Jack. But while they're doing it, they're touching the hand poles, they're touching the handrails. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel that though the threat of the Premiership starting is lads inviting other lads over to their pad to watch a game, and that becomes another problem of social distancing and?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's something that they need to look at. You know, they've said that if it does start and it starts behind closed doors, they want to make all the games free to air after what they fulfil their contracts to Sky and BT. But if that happens, then like you said, you're going to get mass gatherings. You know, it's no two ways about it. It's like if I know. Knees Up Mother Brown did it for an April Fool's joke, didn't they? At the beginning of April, when they said they were going to start the games, but let sort of every 1 in 5 people in to what. But could you imagine something as silly as that? Everybody sort of sitting there in their masks and sort of 4 or 5 seats apart and things like that. Well, at half time they'll all be in the bar together anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's an hard decision. It's I understand why they want to get the Premiership going, but I understand why Gary Neville, I think, is very much against it. Alan Devonshire came out and mentioned something about it today. I don't know if you saw that. Alan Devonshire was interviewed.
No, I haven't seen it today.
Oh, he basically said, it's just a game. Let's just push it aside and sort out, the problems the country's got.
And
while people are losing loved ones.
Whilst I totally agree with that and the sentiments and everything else, like I was saying, there's too much involved with this season and too much wrapped up in this season.
Yeah.
And I think even if it's next year, even if it's after Christmas, this season, in my opinion, has to be finished, and any consequences have to be put on to next season, even if next season's completely cancelled.
Yeah, but that's an option. Long this season comes first, and then next season is pushed and pushed and pushed till it's pushed aside totally in May.
Yeah,
that sounds
I
like
guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Sadly, we all have to sit and wait.
In the dark right now.
Yeah, we are. But I agree. I think once things start to open up, people are going to start to gather, and we're just going to be right back to where we were before. So it'll be interesting to see how this all rolls out. And hopefully they'll do it in a good manner. All right. So Crystal Palace and West Ham are interested again in Chelsea's striker. And it's Michy, but Batshuayi.
Batshuayi is actually how I pronounce his name.
So what do you guys think about that?
Wow. Me personally, I'd say a no, but that's just my opinion. He doesn't impress me. He seems like he's a player that would do great in the French league or the Portuguese league, but he just hasn't got that quality for, say, the Spanish, English, obviously, and probably the Italian league as well. I think he'll struggle. It just seems like he's 2 steps behind, the Premiership.
Yeah, I agree, Baz. He seems like he's an enigma to me. It's like when he comes in late in the games and he only has 5 to 10 minutes, he scores in those 5 to 10 minutes. But then when he's leading the line at the start of a game, he kind of vanishes. I don't think he's someone who you want to base a long-term project on. I would pass on him.
Is a typical player that West Ham would go and sign.
I agree with that. Totally. Yes. Because he has promise, you know what I mean? And you could maybe get a discount even.
But it would go along with the rest of them. Yeah.
That's
could not agree more, Baz.
No, I just think that is, every time I watch him, it'd go down with Ayew, McCarthy, and the rest of all the strikers that we've signed that have just gone to the club, collected their wages, and just disappeared. And I think in 2 seasons' time we were thinking, why did we sign him for? Just I would say a no. I just don't think I don't think he's got the quality of the Premiership.
McCarthy, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anyone's better than Benny McCarthy, but yeah.
Yeah. There was always Mahiga.
Do you remember Mladen Petric? People forget about him.
Yeah.
Creation striker we signed.
I mean, what's your view, Steve? Do you feel?
I was going to turn it back on Katie, and I was actually going to say, who would you prefer? Batshuayi coming in and Antonio going out?
No.
Or would you rather keep Antonio?
I'd rather keep
Antonio another season. I wouldn't sign Batshuayi.
So I think that
you got me there. You sure did. I like it. That's a good challenge.
I think that answers the question, really, doesn't it, about Batshuayi? Why would we sign him? What is he, 30?
Yeah.
He's younger. I just don't think he's fulfilled his promise. Even
no.
He was at Chelsea, then he was at loan at Dortmund, I believe. I could be wrong, but
yeah,
he's just never put it all together.
Right.
Yeah, he just seems like he's every time I see him for Chelsea, it seems like he's always going to get that one chance. And as you know, in the Premiership, if you get one chance and you're playing for Chelsea, you got to put that away. And he always seems to get that one chance where you're thinking he's going to miss it, and then it's just a load of half chances that he gets given, and he can't put one of those on target. So I just don't think he's definitely not the sort of player that we need. But then again, you know,
you watch him go to Crystal Palace and then score a hat trick against us.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
and then do nothing else besides that. Yeah, he's 26 years old. I just looked it up.
Yeah, but he's he's a good age. 26 years old.
I think regardless of age, I think him being so inconsistent, it's just not worth it for us at this point. I think that we're fine in regards to our strikers at this point. I think we definitely need to be more focused on our defense and midfield and making those connections, between the defense and the offense with our midfield. So,
yeah, and another point I'd like to bring up, I'm not sure if I'm misremembering this, but he is very active on Twitter and social media, but he's actually gone against some West Ham fans who have insulted him and said he doesn't really like West Ham. So.
Oh, there you go. So he's a Palace signing.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. He probably even wouldn't sign with us, but he's not behind the West Ham project.
I mean, the only thing I do say is that he's never been given a consistent run in the Chelsea team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing I would defend him on. He's never really been given that consistent run. But some of the Chelsea lads I know, they think he's rubbish anyway. So
yeah, I just don't think he's consistent enough. I think we're all agreeing to that. Oh, and apparently he was loaned to Valencia as well. Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So another topic that we wanted to talk about tonight was, since we've all been inside, we've all been watching different games and reminiscing. What games have you guys watched? And, in general, tell us about some of your favorite West Ham moments.
Who wants to start?
I haven't been in. I've been working.
I've been in working.
Well, actually, I watched the FA Cup semi-final against Everton a few weeks back. It was 40 years since that game, that semi-final. So I watched that, and both games, you could see how Everton were absolutely crapping themselves when Devonshire got the ball, and I started watching it, and he's always got two players, probably a defender marking somebody, but if he makes that run, he can mark it, catch him. But he just seemed to just scare the Everton players to death. And I don't know if you remember that, Steve, when we beat him at Ellen Road in the replay. You don't recall? I mean, Devonshire that night was absolutely brilliant. Tremendous, and that's when he went and scored his goal. That put us.
I have a real problem remembering specific games.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I can remember certain sort of memories. I couldn't remember. I can remember certain things, but I couldn't tell you sort of when it was or where it was, if that makes sense. I can just remember something happening.
But then I watched the season when we beat Chelsea 4-0 at Stamford Bridge, McAvenny and Cotty. And again, Devonshire was brilliant that day as well. But great football to watch. Don't play that sort of football anymore.
When would that have been? That
was 85-86 season when we finished third.
Oh, I would have had no knowledge of that. I was in Cyprus. I was in the army then. So.
Oh, I got you. Well, we finished third, and that game, Chelsea, I think, were fourth. They were just behind us. Or we were fourth, and they were third in the first division. And we went to Stamford Bridge and beat them 4-0. And they were just caught. They just couldn't cope with our counter-attack. But it was great football. I mean, if you haven't watched it, I recommend you watching it, because it's absolutely brilliant football by West Ham. That's when we had Cotty and McAvenny up front, and we had Devonshire, Jeff Pike. Yeah, but there were some of the highlights I was watching.
Cool.
A lot of old World Cup games as well.
Yeah, what about in the chat room? You guys can jump in too. Any games you've been watching during this lockdown. Looks like we have one here. 1980 FA Cup final. So I'm still working, but I'm always looking for recommendations as to, what games to catch, what to get back on. I know a lot of my friends here in Philadelphia, they've been watching different documentaries. And one of the ones that they brought up was, let's see.
Iron Man? Was that one of them?
Yeah.
Iron Man's good.
Iron Man.
It's a good documentary, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So always looking for some good stuff to watch. I know Wayne over in Texas, he hosted a watch party. I don't know if anyone joined in on that.
Steve, have you watched that Canning Town documentary about the 1980 FA Cup?
Canning Town Lens documentary on Amazon.
Yeah.
No,
about it. I haven't watched it. No.
Today is my first day of 10 days off from work, so I shall be catching up on all kinds of things like that.
I got you.
Oh, good. Well, then we'll have to connect with you after.
Yeah.
We also had watched Sunderland Till I Die.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, they said it was really good, and they said that it really made them appreciate being a West Ham fan, seeing everything they went through. So I might have to watch that as well, because I feel like
I really struggle with things like that. With finding the motivation to sit and watch about another team who I have no interest in at all. I would really struggle, I think, to watch that.
I mean, it looks interesting on Netflix when they advertise it, but I get what you're saying, Steve. Yeah, it's but I suppose it's interesting to see how a demise of a club like Sunderland can happen, and you get to go behind the scenes, and they give you some idea why that did happen. I suppose that's why I probably watch it, just to see how, because they have gone. I mean, it's amazing how far Sunderland's gone downhill. Considering now they've got one of the best stadiums in England, and that's now being played in the first division or the League One. It's that's why I would watch it, just to see what really went wrong, and they'll give you an idea of where it went wrong.
I mean, if you think about it too, we were in the relegation zone for a good bit of time. If we did get bumped down, what would happen to us with budgets getting slashed and everything? Would we be in that same position? What do you guys think?
No, I don't think that I don't think Gold and Sullivan would allow it to get that bad. They got the money in their pocket, so they would go out and spend. So I don't think it would ever get that bad. Obviously, if they left, and I'm not being pro Gold or Sullivan or anything, but if they did happen to sell the club, as they say, be very careful what you wish for, sort of thing. Because if you do get relegated with new owners that are not prepared to put the money in when it does get pretty desperate, I'm pretty confident that Gold and Sullivan, if we do get relegated, would pump money into the club to a certain extent to get us back in the Premiership. What do you think? I mean, that's what I feel. Do people agree?
I feel they're looking to sell the club in 2022. That they just they don't. I don't think they earn a lot of money from the day-to-day business dealings with the club. I think they just want to make money off the sale, and that's what they're looking towards.
Oh yeah. They're not great owners. All I'm saying is that if it did get that desperate where we could drop into League One, I think they would then begin to.
Because that would minimize the profit they could make from the sale of the club.
So I don't think we'd ever get that bad as in Sunderland, where they are at the moment. Where I don't even think they were in the promotion places, were they? In League One?
I don't know, but 10th. Here's actually, I've actually read some in-depth articles about Sunderland. The crazy thing about them is not the current owners, but maybe the owners after this actually spent a lot of money and just lost a lot of money. They just actually didn't spend it wisely. So you can criticize the ownership for what they did, but they actually spent a lot of money. They just spent it very unwisely. They tethered their cart horse or whatever you want to say it to very unsavory agents and said, we're going to stick with these agents. We have a connection with them.
Yeah.
If you actually look at the finances, they spent a lot of money, but they didn't spend it wisely. So that's a lesson for some owners that, like, no matter how rich you are, if you don't spend the money wisely, it's not going to succeed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But
Yep.
I mean, it's like Newcastle. You know, are they going to be the new Man City with the amount of money that's being pumped into that club if they're sold his boy? I mean, I think that's a bit of an embarrassment personally to the smaller clubs down and further in the league that are going to be struggling once this is all over with. That could have to call in the administrators to see what their financial situation is. You know.
I think if this goes through and Saudi Arabia, the main person who runs their country, I forget what his name is, but he has so much money at his disposal, they are going to become the new Man City. And I think the lower leagues cannot actually survive unless people come up with a new decision to redistribute the money to where it goes back down from them. And there's so much, I think there's so much money involved that even if you like change the revenue sharing to 5 or 10% of what it is, the lower league clubs could easily survive. So I would absolutely advocate for that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an embarrassment because I'm sure that there's a great chance we're not going to have 92 football league clubs.
No. I think so. I think some clubs are going to go.
I think they'll fold.
Fold regardless. But I think something else is going to have to happen a new revenue sharing agreement to ensure that other clubs survive.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting point. Sparkle C brings up. I was talking to this actually with Tebow, Trevor, that I think that they're eventually going to buy Olympic Stadium. And he says, sell West Ham and Karen Brady, get them out. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's always been their end game, hasn't it? To get the London Stadium and then sell the club and trouser a huge profit.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like actually that it's going to make a big loss this summer because they're saying that the baseball will be cancelled, concerts will be cancelled, so the stadium in itself is going to make a big loss again. I think they're predicting like a 50 million loss for this year, and that's if West Ham begin the season or begin the next season on schedule. So if it starts in August, but I think as it stands, if next season starts, then the stadium itself is going to make a £50 million pound loss. They think they're predicting. So that means, and they were saying that Sadiq Khan may not want to have no responsibility anymore of the stadium, and say to West Ham, "We'll give you an option to buy."
Rebecca seems to think they want to get it for free.
Yeah, but
I can see that happening now.
Yeah, I think because at the moment I think it's making a £23 million loss every year.
Yeah, it's killing
the
actual government of London, or however that's organized. They're just taking a loss and a loss and a loss and a loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and after this, I'm not sure if Sadiq Khan will want the responsibility to keep making up for the losses. You're
absolutely right.
Yeah.
They were down to a skeleton service almost on the buses for TFL.
Yeah.
And they reckon that they were making about £1.5 million a day on the buses, which they then cancelled that because they made everybody board by the rear doors, so they didn't have to tap their cards as they got on. And that was, if you like, the last revenue stream that TFL had coming in during this lockdown. So they've lost that now. So TFL are hemorrhaging millions and millions of pounds at the moment during this. The mayor's going to have no interest at all in the London Stadium.
No, that's it.
I totally agree.
He's going to need hundreds of millions of pounds from the government to restart TFL and get that back up and running, to get the underground and the buses and all the light railways running again. So, you know, a 20 or 30 million pound football stadium loss, he's not going to, London can't afford to pay that this year. If
No,
it's
that's
50
what I'm saying,
million,
yeah.
he certainly won't entertain 50 million.
No.
So he's just as likely to turn around to them two and say to them, you know, make me an offer.
Yeah.
Agreed. Unfortunate, but agreed.
Yeah.
So
I also read today that Tottenham is looking to possibly purchase Diop. What do you guys think about that? You think we should sell him?
No,
well, I wouldn't want to see him leave, but can they turn down the 50 million at present as it stands?
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll take the 50 million, being what they are, and probably give Moyes 15 million than that and pocket the rest.
I wouldn't sell Spurs a toilet brush.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't tell him, but I'm not
maybe
sure
after,
Golden Solid
maybe
can
after
think
I
that way.
use it, then I'd sell it to them.
Well, Spurs were showing interest in Rice, right? So
Yeah,
he said this week.
Yeah, I don't know how much I trust these rumors that are going around.
No. But let's just say if it
Rice,
isn't a rumor, yeah. I mean, if they sold Spurs Rice, then I would be, that's
Rice,
well, I can't
Rice
describe
wouldn't go
what
to
it would be.
Spurs. He's got
sorry?
Rice wouldn't go to Spurs. He's got too many scruples.
Exactly, and that's
I think
that's what I said to somebody.
He doesn't even want to do it, but if there was one destination for Rice, he'd want to go to Chelsea because he's friends with Mason.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think everybody's accepted.
And he grew up in that area where Chelsea is.
Yeah, he's either going to end up at Chelsea or in Manchester, isn't he?
Yeah. Exactly, Steve.
I think it's a matter of when, not if.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go United, personally.
Yeah, he may do.
Yeah. I think he. I think that just the draw of United will entice him. So, but
yeah. So since we've had this time off, I've been going back and listening to some old podcasts, and one of the things that we don't discuss often on here, and I'm always curious about, is what is your favorite West Ham chant?
I've got my own one. If you're talking about recently, it was the one when they played Spurs with Harry Redknapp, and the West Ham bands were singing, "He's gonna twitch in a minute, twitch in a minute." That was probably one of my best ones recently I've heard. Yeah. Classic.
Like when Zamora hits the sky like a big pizza pie.
But
I think my favourite comes from late 70s, early 80s. When it was before seats, when we were standing on the terraces, and they actually opened a bar on the terraces of the North Bank. And we were all singing, "We're not the South Bank, we're not the North Bank, we are the new bar Upton Park."
That's right. When was that?
Sorry?
What year would that be? Well, you're not very good at memories, are you? So
that would have been before I joined the army. I joined the army in '83, so like I say, late 70s, early 80s. That would have been when I was going from school, because back then I was at a boarding school. And our maths teacher was a huge West Ham nut. And he used to take the school minibus, chuck half a dozen of us in the back that wanted to go every Saturday, drive down, because we were up in the Essex countryside, and he'd drive down into East London. Let us all, bearing in mind we were sort of 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and he'd say, "Meet me back here at whatever time after the game. If you're not here, the minibus will go without you." Yeah, and we, sort of 13, 14, we'd go up to the bar and say, "Can I have a pint, please, mister?" And he'd say, "Are you 18?" And everybody around us would go, "Of course he is, give him a pint." You'd have your 1 pint and be absolutely shit-faced at that age. Great fun.
So Steve, so who's your not to go off the subject, but who's your favourite best hammer of all time?
Oh, of all time?
Yeah.
It's got to be Devo, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Devonshire, yeah. I thought Devonshire was a legend. Yeah, class.
He was a magician.
Yeah, beautiful to watch. Nice physique. Not this
with
muscle
hair
stuff
flowing behind him.
Yeah, it was majestic. Yeah, brilliant player. Yeah, fantastic. I would recommend, if you was gonna watch YouTube stuff, that you watch Alan Devonshire. Fantastic player. Yeah, never such a beautiful player to watch. Him and Brookin. Yeah, their understanding. Yeah, great football. Did you go to the 85-86 season, Steve, when we finished third?
85,
did I ask you that?
No, I was in Cyprus.
Oh, that's right. You said, yeah. That was a great season. Devonshire was great that season as well.
John threw in his favorite.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That's excellent, John.
I like that one.
We unfortunately just don't get enough here in America. So I really do love to hear what everyone's favorite chants are. When I did have the opportunity to go across the pond with my brother, of course, my favorite chant is "We're the Claret Blue Army." So how fast do you have to say it?
Well, I actually, when Leroy Rosenia played for us in the late 80s, I don't know, there was a record that came out, and I forget what fanzine it was now, but they gave you the floppy disk of Leroy's Boots Are Made of Gold. Do you recall that one?
Yeah.
That was famous. Yeah, Leroy's Boots Are Made of Gold.
I heard it, yeah.
Great chart. But that was actually a record that I think the Barmy Army released.
Rebecca's is Ludo's. I'm going to have you come on, Rebecca, and sing that. Hope you can sing, Rebecca, because I can't.
So what made you support West Ham then, David and Katie?
Go ahead, David.
Right around 2006, 2007, I had actually been way more into national team soccer because my mom is Italian, but the games hadn't been able to be broadcast. And then a friend brought me to a soccer bar in Boston, and I just liked that the fan base was no nonsense. They had good road support. There wasn't some lame story like the Arsenal Invincibles. That the supports just seemed to be passionate, and I wanted to get behind that.
Oh, interesting.
It was that simple.
Yeah.
For me, I played college soccer, and a lot of my friends were fans of like Arsenal and Man U, Man City, and I was just frustrated that everyone was picking, the top tier teams. And I kind of took a look at the fan base, and it's very similar to people from Philadelphia. People in East London, the blue collar attitude and the passion and the loyalty. So that was something that really drew me because I am an Eagles fan. We're pretty rough, very passionate, and it just is perfect fit. So I love the energy that West Ham fans have. I love the fact that we're all family. When I went over there, people were just so excited that we were there, all the way from the US to come see a game. And we were just thrilled. We drank with them toe to toe, and they were great. So as much as we drink here, you guys can take them down in London too. So we had a blast. So, I love it. And now my brother's a fan, and my father's a Spurs fan.
Oh, dear.
Oh no!
House divided.
That's terrible news.
We all know I picked a better team. So, yeah, it's been great. We have a great crew here in Philadelphia. So when we got back, I knew I wanted to find a supporters group here, and there really wasn't anything. So with Wayne's help and Tim and Lena, they all kind of directed me to Mark, and we put together a big group here. And so we have a lot of fun. We have hammer shots every time we score a goal.
Nice one.
Gets a little wild.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. All right. So we're coming up to the top of the hour.
Say if they do start the league, say in July, so let's just say off the top of their early July they start the Premiership, will we survive?
Ooh, I've been thinking about this. I think our lack of physicality in the midfield will actually help us because players will be tentative to engage each other. And I think with the addition of Bowen, we can stretch the field a little bit more. Sushek can play too. He's strengthened our midfield. But yeah, I think we'll survive.
Yeah, I mean, that's my concern as well. That's why I'm not very keen on the season starting, because I think we could get relegated.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Baz.
Yeah, and I don't think we're assured of any safety at the moment. People are saying we're going to finish 15th. I'm not that positive.
That's what the supercomputers say, but it's going to be a totally new scene, I think. If we resume, I think it's going to be a completely different style of play that we haven't anticipated before.
I hope so. Yeah. Do you think we'll survive, Steve?
Oh, definitely.
That's what I like, a man of confidence.
Yeah, definitely. There's no question about it.
Who was your choice when they sacked Pellegrini? Who did you want in the hot seat?
Do you know what
Because I think everybody agrees. Everybody's choice here wasn't Moyes to get that. If we sacked Pellegrini, everybody had their idea who they wanted. My definitely wasn't Moyes.
I've got to be honest. I wouldn't have been sad to see Big Sam come back, to be honest.
Oh, I think Big Sam did a good job. I totally agree with you.
I agree with when he did that thing at Hull City, he just does not have the support of the fan base.
I understand that. Yeah.
I respect him as a manager. I think his tenure was totally underrated to get West Ham right up from the drop, keep us up in the Premier League with the money that was actually being spent, totally underrated. But once you cup your ears to the fan,
I agree with you. I do understand the point. Yeah, but I think he did. I think the job he did at West Ham, I don't think he's credited enough for it.
I know. I totally agree with him.
Yeah, he really done a good job at West Ham. I didn't like some of his football. I thought some of it was okay. At times, it wasn't for me. But
I
at the end of the day,
enjoyed that era because I started supporting with the FA Cup final loss. Then there was some rough years in the relegation. Then we had to build our way back up.
Yeah.
So I actually appreciated that era, even though the football was attractive. It felt every game was important. So.
Yeah. No, I thought Big Sam did a good job. I wanted personally, I wanted Stevie Gerrard. That was my choice. You didn't want them. Yeah, a lot of people didn't really, but
whatever happened in the final, that's okay.
Yeah, I think I think he would have played quick football. Pellegrini's football was like watching 1970s South American style football. But the only reason why I wanted Gerrard because I thought he'd bring a little bit more of a modern style to our game that we're lacking. It was playing the ball quicker out of the back. You know.
Yeah, my viewpoint is that we were sold something where we move to a new stadium, we'll have more money to spend, and we can hire a world-class managerial talent, and yada, 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 yada. I just don't think we're there yet. I think we just have to tread water and survive until they sell the club to someone else.
Yeah.
I think we can have all these fantasies of the manager we're going to sign. As we stand right now, West Ham United is not in a position to sign a world-class manager. Unfortunately.
No, not in a position of what? Sorry?
not in the position to sign a world-class manager.
Oh no, well, nobody would work for them. They've got such a bad reputation around the world. You can't.
Right.
These managers are in touch with each other, asking each other what's that owner like to work for. And I just think that Gold and Sullivan have just got such a bad, more so Sullivan, have got such a bad reputation with managers. I mean, I'd love to hear what Big Sam would have to say about him to another manager.
Oh yeah, and I think what's been underreported is that I believe when he signed his contract, Big Sam was the 5th highest paid manager, and then Pellegrini had a really big contract. Is they say it's going to be so shitty working for us, we're going to give you huge wages as a manager.
Probably is. That's probably their philosophy.
That's how they attract the managers. But you're not going to attract someone hungry by just agree to fatten them up. Agree, this is so bad, we're going to give you big wages.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like the chat room is still blowing up. We're having a good time. It's time to wrap things up. We're at the top of the hour.
G Wong is not a fan of Twist and Shout, apparently.
What's that?
G Wong is not a fan of Twist and Shout.
Did you see what Sparkle C1 said in there? Is he joking or is he being serious?
I don't know.
I think he's joking.
Red Bull have put in a £650 million bid to buy West Ham. What is that? Is he having a laugh or what?
Who has? Who's put in a 600 million bid to buy? Who has?
Red Bull.
Why would you pay 650 million for West Ham?
Well, they were saying that. Yeah, I mean, we're not worth 600 million.
No.
Yeah.
It's not true.
No. 600 million. I mean, if Newcastle, I think we're at the same level as Newcastle, 350 million. Although Newcastle own their own stadium. We don't. Yeah. So, we sold all our assets away. So,
Yeah, Charlie Walsh says Red Bull haven't put in a bid to buy West Ham. But I don't know.
Does anybody know if Anderson's going to definitely leave, back to Napoli?
No, there's been some rumors of a swap deal with Chucky Lozano.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it's all paper talk to me until something happens.
Yeah.
I don't think most clubs are like putting things on hold, I believe, until they know what the actual situation is going ahead and when play is going to start again. I think it would be rash to like buy players when you don't know what's going to be happening.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I trust Charlie too.
Yeah. You're right, Tim.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight. As a reminder, you just want to make sure you like and subscribe down at the bottom of the screen there. And as you know, we got to end the night with a little "Come on, you Irons."
Yes, come on, you Irons.